Straight ahead on CCX News.
After 20 years, it's very difficult.
A mayor and public servant presides over her last city council meeting. Plus, a changing of the guard at the near food shelf.
I love doing it because I'm helping the kids.
But first, why police increase security at local schools this week. CCX News starts right now.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. Administrators for Robbinsdale area schools are assuring parents that their children are safe after a week where social media threats ran wild. The school district increased security on Friday at the campuses of both Cooper and Armstrong High Schools as a precaution. On Wednesday, a series of fights at Armstrong High School set off a chain reaction of social media chatter. Plymouth police say the fights did not involve weapons and did not result in injuries. School Superintendent Carlton Jenkins emailed parents Thursday saying the district and law enforcement are taking any social media threats seriously and they are investigating them. Plymouth police say none of the threats turned out to be credible. Authorities have identified the woman struck and killed by a vehicle while trying to cross a busy Brooklyn Park street. 71-year-old Dede Wawer of Brooklyn Park was struck in the 7500 block of Brooklyn Boulevard Monday evening. She's the second pedestrian to be killed in that area in the last 2 months. Police say in both instances the people hit were not crossing in marked crosswalks. The Salvation Army is still hoping to raise $12 million before Christmas, and most of that will come in by mail or through online donations. The rest will be raised by volunteers who ring bells next to those familiar red kettles. In Brooklyn Park, holiday donations are at about the same pace as last year, thanks to what officials describe as a community that is very generous. However, every year is a roller coaster and money totals go up and down. If you want to be a bell ringer or donate toys, the Salvation Army still has a need for both.
I think last year we had more volunteers. I know that our shortage right now is in the area of toys for kids. A lot of our centers are going to be doing their big toy distributions this next week. This local center will be serving about 900 families, which ends up being about 2,500 kids.
The Salvation Army bell ringing season ends on December 24th. MnDOT officials are testing a new tool at its Maple Grove facility aimed at keeping snowplow drivers and other motorists safe. Reporter Sonia Goen spoke with the engineer who designed the safety device.
Keeping the roads clear during a Minnesota winter is a daunting and sometimes dangerous task. Blowing snow and icy roads can be challenging for MnDOT plow drivers who maintain more than 4,000 miles in the metro.
And just slide it up into the tube.
This year, the Maple Grove truck station is trying out a new device to make their job safer.
Here's just the lights we built. This is the first one we prototyped.
No, this is not a lightsaber, but the newest weapon to make plow trucks more visible.
Well, the idea came up middle of March last year.
Engineer Nate Smith designed the device.
Tried them. They were really successful last year when we were in blowing operations.
He took old materials that were lying around the shop to upgrade plow markers.
And we ended up cutting the crimp, factory crimp off, pulling the piece of cable out of it, and then replacing it with LED.
The new and improved light markers are now being installed on plows and snow blowers.
We probably have about 20 built right now.
They say the lighted markers are a useful guide for snowplow drivers.
So I was hoping that a solid, constantly lit marker would just make a driver understand that there's something there.
Last year, there were 8 incidents in the metro where a vehicle slammed into a plow wing.
The wing is that piece of equipment that hangs off the side of the truck that you don't always see, especially when it's kind of light, fluffy snow. You can't see that wing.
MnDOT officials are hoping the lighted markers will serve as a beacon, alerting drivers to potential problems.
These are really intense LEDs.
Other shops around the state are seeing the light too.
We have a lot of other shops now wanting, quite a few of them.
In Maple Grove, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
This week marked the end of an era for the city of Plymouth. Mayor Kelli Slavik presided over her final city council meeting after deciding not to run for re-election. As Delane Cleveland reports, after serving the city for 20 years, she leaves office with a host of notable achievements.
As the blue glow of holiday lights illuminate the exterior of Plymouth City Hall, on the inside, the Plymouth Rockers used their voices to bring the Christmas spirit to the council chambers Tuesday night.
They are wonderful, and we really appreciate all that they do in the community.
It was a special treat for a special meeting. After conducting business in this room for the past 20 years,
This is my last meeting.
this was the last hurrah for Mayor Kelli Slavik.
After 20 years, it's very difficult. This is like a second home to me. The staff are like family. I adore working with them. We have a great city council.
Back in January of 1999,
And of the state of Minnesota.
a young Kelli Slavik was sworn in as a city council member in this very room. 7 years later, she ran for the mayor's office against 2 other candidates.
One of them was Kelli Slavik. That was an interesting name.
Yeah. I can't remember who I voted for.
And as we found out in this story following the 2006 election, she was a relative unknown to some at the time.
Whatever, Kelli Clack or something like that, and 2 others.
Do you know who Kelli Slavik is? No, I don't know. That's kind of embarrassing.
But Plymouth voters still elected her by an overwhelming margin.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Kelli.
And they gave me the opportunity to learn more and to engage and to really be a big part of this community. I'm forever grateful for that.
Now, 12 years later,
We love you very much.
she has a long list of accomplishments to add to her resume. She played a role in getting a 3rd lane added onto the Plymouth stretch of Interstate 494. She helped oversee steady residential and business growth in the city, and she persuaded the council to build a veterans memorial near City Hall.
It's something that's very near and dear to my heart. My father-in-law's name is on there, and I really think it's a great way to honor members of our community that have served. Okay, I will go ahead and call the meeting to order.
But at her final council meeting as mayor, the Plymouth Rockers took the opportunity to honor her.
First one to make the mayor cry is in trouble, so your name's on the list.
A fitting tribute for 20 years of public service.
And I know our community's in great hands and will continue to prosper. I'm just going to miss the people.
In Plymouth, Delaney Cleveland, CCX News.
And as for what's next, Slavik says she plans to stay in Plymouth and do more traveling too, but her role in government may not be over just yet. She said she's considering a run for county commissioner in 2020. Still ahead, it's the end of an era for the near food shelf too. We'll tell you what's changing there into 2019. Plus, 2 of the area's top boys basketball teams go head-to-head as Champlin Park battles Wayzata. But first, how about this warm winter weather? No snow in sight, and we might even get some rain. For decades, Near Food Shelf in Crystal has been distributing Christmas toys to children in need. But this year it's a little bit different. In today's edition of Holiday Spirit, it's a story of bittersweet goodbyes and a passing of the torch.
I told her what she got, and I showed it to her, and then she just burst out into tears.
Jan Monroe's been doing this a long time.
She was crying so hard, she couldn't hardly talk to me.
And she's got a lot of stories, like this one about a mom who got a bike for her kid from the Near Food Shelf.
She said, you know, we weren't going to have Christmas this year because we had no money. And she said, and then you guys gave us all the toys. And she said, and now this bike. And she was so absolutely thrilled.
Stories like that kept Jan going year after year.
To see people that I know really need it, and they're so happy.
And then decade after decade. But all good things come to an end.
This is my last year doing this.
She'll be passing the job to the Kaiser family. Yes, the one you recognize from right here on CCX Media.
Jan has done this for many, many years and been very involved in the process and has a great heart for helping people out. And so she's come to us. We volunteered in past years and said, really need someone to kind of take the torch.
Dave and his wife Gina start heading up the program next year, but that won't be the only change.
These are unusual toys. They're They're not your ordinary run-of-the-mill toys.
Mel Hartman and his friends have been making these wooden works of art.
They are works of art. They're beautiful.
For decades, tens of thousands every year, and hundreds of them go to Near.
They are beautiful things, and we are fortunate to be able to. We received 237 of those toys.
But Mel has health problems of his own, and unless someone else takes the reins, this is his last year. But 2 goodbyes in 1 year is too much for Jan. She's sure someone will step up.
I don't think that Mel will let that happen. He's so dedicated to that program.
Either way, the toy distribution program will continue. And even though Jan built the program into what it is, she's not interested in taking credit.
Somebody said, you don't get enough credit. I said, the one that gives me credit is the one I want to get credit. And that's the Lord.
Well said. Near's toy distribution starts Saturday at 8:30 in the morning. Up next, a new production in a familiar space. But first, it's an entertaining back and forth game as Champlin Park and Osseo tangle in boys hockey. John Jacobson has the highlights up next.
Wayzata and Champlin Park have multiple state tournament appearances in boys basketball over the past few years. Both are ranked in the top 15 in Class 4A early this season. Those two are matched up in a good non-conference battle Thursday night at Champlin Park. The Trojans get off to a good start in this game. Keaton Heidi hits one of his 3 first-half three-pointers, and it's 8-2 Wayzata. Then Heidi spots in open Connor Hale in the corner. He drains a 3, and the Trojans get off to a 13-4 lead. Back comes Champlin Park. Jared Walter hits some big shots in this game. He scores 11, including that three-pointer. Jacob Johnson opened for a 3 for the Rebels, and he hits part of a 9-0 Champlin Park scoring run that gives them the lead. It's 31-30 Wayzata, though, at halftime. Second half highlights. Jacob Bennigan doesn't have a big night scoring, but this 3 does give the Trojans the lead at 46-43. Luke Paulson plays well for Wayzata. He gets the steal and layup here. The senior finishes with 15 points. But the Rebels break a 56-all tie with under 4 minutes to go. Bennett Otto to Alex John for the big dunk. That's worth another look. It gives Champlin Park the lead for good. Otto scores 24 points to lead all players in scoring. Champlin Park wins 68-62, and the Rebels are now 2-1. In boys hockey, Champlin Park is in the middle of a stretch where 4 or 5 games are played at home at the Ice Forum. They hosted Osseo Thursday. Teddy bear toss to benefit local children's hospitals and organizations took place between periods of this game. First period highlights: Osseo on the power play. Champlin Park's Aiden Grant breaking in. His rebound is in for a short-handed goal. Cade Westman sets up Jackson Dwyer for the Osseo goal to make it 1-all. 47 seconds later, Adam Larson scores to give the Orioles a 2-1 lead. But 28 seconds after that, Champlin Park's Derek Roberts zips the shot in from the point. 3 goals are scored in the final 95 seconds, and it's 2-2 after 2 periods. With under 5 minutes to play in the third, Roberts with a great play to steal the puck and sets up Caden Walters for the go-ahead goal. Roberts adds an empty netter, and Champlin Park wins a wild game 4-2. Champlin Park's next game is Saturday against Totino-Grace. The Eagles were in action Thursday as they faced Armstrong Cooper in New Hope. Totino-Grace leads 1-0. When an official gets in the way and it helps to lead to a turnover, Luke Delzer scores a short-handed goal there, his second of the game, and it's 2-0 Grace. Joe Campion with a nice stick handling move, but then Anderson for the wings, stopped by Joe Howe. Later in the second, Drew Ide passes to Jonah Jangula, and the Wings pull within 2-1. In the third, AC on the power play. Jangula gets another quality chance, but Howe makes the save. Wings do tie it later, 2-2. Eagles get the go-ahead goal. Simon Blanco fires wide, but it caroms to the other side, and Ben Palmer threads it through for a tough angle, to score. Put the Eagles up 3-2. And they add the clincher. Jake Wasik rings the puck around the boards. Delzer is there to put it into an empty net. He scores a hat trick, and Totino-Grace wins this game 4-2. The 4th-ranked team in Class AA girls hockey is Wayzata. The Trojans are off to a great start this season. The Eastridge Raptors were in Plymouth Thursday to challenge the Trojans. Raptors can't clear their zone here, and Maddie McCollin scores for Wayzata, and it's 1-0 7 minutes in. That's the score after one period. Second period, Abby Prodal and Casey Johnson force a turnover. Johnson with a great shot into the top corner of the net, and it's 2-0 Wayzata through two. Wayzata really breaks their game open in the third period. McCollin's shot trickles off the goalie and in as the University of Wisconsin River Falls commit makes it 3-0. Less than a minute later, the Trojans' first shot is stopped, but number 32, Sloan Matthews, is right there to score on the rebound and make it 4-0 Wayzata. Johnson on the rush down the wing, shoots and scores, or shoots here, and then Chloe Fallon scores on the rebound. Wayzata goes on to win 7-0. Live girls basketball Friday night at 7 o'clock on CCX as Cooper plays Wayzata. We'll be back with more in a moment.
There's a new Shakespearean drama on stage at the Plymouth Playhouse. Neil Persley has more in today's Weekend Showcase.
There is a lot of escaping, there is a lot of falling in love.
There's so much in it, lots of fighting, lots of love, and just silly encounters.
And New Hope-based 2140 Productions does a very nice job telling a very big story. As You Like It by William Shakespeare is the troupe's first foray into the Plymouth Playhouse.
This play is not a comedy, but it's also not a tragedy. It is a tragic comedy, and I think that's life.
Shakespeare can be tedious to read and difficult to understand, but in this play, although the dialogue is original, the actors do a good job of relating the meaning of the characters' dialogue through their actions, intonations, and expression.
Nobody's putting on any artifice. It's just talking like we're talking now. It's conversational.
You have to look up what he meant by his words. Some of his words, you think you know what they mean. They do not mean what they mean to us today. So that was a big piece, and memorizing it is another piece, because until you understand it, you're not going to memorize it and relay it in a sense that people will understand.
And I think that's the biggest thing people will take from it, is it's, oh man, this show that was written so long ago still speaks to me today.
Shakespeare's As You Like It remains timeless because it deals with so many basic aspects of the human experience. Christopher plays Orlando, who is smitten with Rosalind when he first meets her. How many a young man fall head over heels with a beautiful young woman, only to find it virtually impossible even to utter a coherent sentence when actually in her presence.
How passion holds these weights upon my tongue. I cannot speak to her, yet she urged conference.
The themes of love, friendship, loyalty, and ambition are as common now as in the 17th century, and the cast delivers with energy and gusto. For Weekend Showcase from Plymouth Playhouse, Neil Persley, CCX News.
As You Like It runs through Sunday, and showtimes are 7 p.m. Friday and Saturday and 2 p.m. on Sunday. So go out and enjoy it. Have a great weekend. We'll be back with more news on Saturday starting at noon.